His name is Ojokom Franklin Song, and he joined me this morning. I had to go and drag him out from his tournament, but it's the usual thing because when we're talking society, I like to have somebody from the CSO speaking from the angle of the society so we can have a pulse of what the people are saying. A very good morning, and thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Adebayo, Samuel. You are doing a very great job. I was booked for a tournament this morning. In fact, it was supposed to be 8 o'clock.
You had to answer one of us. Either you answer the people or you answer your golf balls.
That is why I had to come and answer the people's call. Because for me, this particular call is for the interest of the masses, and that is why we are in the CSOs. Like you have rightly said, yes, I have to answer the people's call because I'm the people's servant. If they say come anytime at all, no matter whatever other engagement I have to put it aside. I like it very low. That Franklin the song is okay. Good morning and nice being with you this morning. I was here I think 2 weeks ago, and we did a fantastic job. And I pray that God will also help us this morning to also add value to governance in Nigeria.
Well, we're talking the economy this morning and the impact of the US-Israeli war on Iran. That's what we're talking about this morning. When we talk about the US-Israeli war on Iran, the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, the whole world is gathering and looking for solutions. First, Ojokom, how do you react to this cherry news that now we've seen the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz?
You've just described my thoughts. The news is a cherry one, like you said. We are expecting that the war between Israel and US on Iran will not affect the world. But you see, no country can exist independent of the other countries. That is why we are in a global village. Every country has its own natural resource, its own endowment, and what the good Lord has endowed on it to control. Iran is in charge of the Strait of Hormuz, and every other country has its own territory and what you control. So when the US-Israel military engagement on Iran happened, we never saw it happening. Nobody ever heard much about the Strait of Hormuz until that war took place, and then we now begin to see the effect of it affecting the entire world, and the world was almost like going into recession. When the news broke out yesterday, I was so excited. Well, some persons could attribute it to the fact that US had to also blockade the port and ensure that no vessel from Iran also passed through to this other side of the divide, and that also had put pressure on Iran to accept that the strait be opened. Now, having said this, I am also the war and the news of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz actually was in a mixed reaction, good and bad.
How so?
Good in the sense that we that also have crude oil, as we are selling to the global market, the price also increased. Like you just mentioned here, the oil benchmark was pegged at $65 per barrel. It jacked up to over $100 per barrel because of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. So the closure became both good and bad. Good in the sense that we have enough resources.
Was that really good? Because when you say good, it earned us some excess crude.
That's the point. That is the area I'm talking about.
Now, bring it back to Nigeria. Nigeria too big. Bring it back to Akwa Ibom. Akwa Ibom being top oil producer in Nigeria. Would you say the everyday Akwa Ibomite saw the good in the closing of the Strait of Hormuz? Would you say the everyday Akwa Ibomite saw the win that we could have earned some money? Or if we did earn some money, where is the money?
Now that takes us to the bad part of the closure of
the good leads you to the bad.
Yes. Now the question you just asked me now has taken us to the other side of the closure, Because I said it was in a mixed reaction. It was both sides, good and bad. The good is that we earn more resources from the excess crude, and then the bad part is that the populace did not feel the impact of the closure, the impact of the excess.
Did we not feel
crude.
the impact?
The impact, the impact I mean now is the positive impact. Yes, the positive impact of the closure, which should have been, yes, we are having excess of over $40 being added to what we had budgeted. Now this will now pump in more money, more industries, more facilities, more jobs, more empowerment, and more recruitment would have been. In fact, the Nigeria would have been a workshop, if you like. Would have been a very busy country.
February 28th to April 17.
Well, you call it short time, but if you
at 1.7 million barrels per day.
But if you check the amount that we have so realized, you will see that short time had given us several resources that would have made Nigeria to become a workshop. I keep on using the word workshop. Workshop is a very busy area where everybody is going. You see the plumber working, the mechanic, the panebita, the welder, the iron bender. Everybody will be busy. No, all hands will be busy. Nobody will be idle. But unfortunately, it did not happen. What we saw, no, not even politics. What we saw was hardship. Was as if it was Nigeria that was even at war. Nigeria was as if we are at war. We are among those who are affected. We are even the Iran. We felt the impact even more than the Iran, because the cost of food price, the cost of commodities in the market, the cost of transportation in the country became very high. The cost of petrol. We own the crude, we own the raw material, but the cost of the refined product became very high. The other day,
what was that limited to Nigeria? So, where other countries, it was a global economic shock.
That is the point. Now, we have just talked about every country had its own natural endowment and resource. What is endowed in us is the crude. Nigeria is one of the giants of Africa. Top 10 in the world that has endowed commercial quantity of crude. So if you have that kind of war that will make you to sell what you had proposed to sell for $65, you now sell at over $100 per a barrel, you should be able to have more money, more profit, more income, and use the money to plug into your economy. And that would have boosted the economy and take us high to to top in the country or in the world.
Being an international product, it means irrespective of whether we're producing it here or not, we would have still bought. Our producers would have still bought at that 100 plus. So was that truly a gain or something that was given with one hand and taken from with the other?
Well, I would rather think that if we did not even have this crude oil, we would have suffered worse. And all thanks to Aliko Dangote's refinery that had
and the other smaller refineries,
the motor refineries that are also trying to refine, that actually helped us to even be getting fuel at the cost of 1,500, 1,400, 1,300 in some states, in some part of the country, some part of the state. You still have where fuel is 1,314, and the president of Nigeria, who is the Minister of Petroleum, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, attended an event in Bayelsa.
Unofficially.
Well, if you say unofficial, I don't know, because you have a Minister of State, and the question had always been
gas and oil.
Gas and oil.
Oh, okay.
So the question that we have always asked as CSOs is that who is the Minister of Petroleum?
Well,
and don't forget, and there is none. Where there is none, the president now oversees. Where there is none, that it ought to be, and because it is not, the president will not take charge. So he assumed that office automatically, and that is why the Minister of State and the NNPC GMD and others who are working there will report to the president on the activities going on there. So the question what I wanted to even raise was that Mr. President, whom in our own view as CSOs is the Minister of Petroleum, attended an event in Bayelsa State and said that Nigerians should be happy that we are not even getting this product high as in Kenya. I don't know where you got that news.
Yes,
and you got the backlash that came. Because you cannot compare Nigeria and Kenya. Kenya does not have the kind of crude we have. And here we have 4 moribund refineries I call it moribund.
That we had overlooked for how long in Nigeria's existence.
When the president came on board, the president pronounced that fuel subsidy is gone.
Yes.
And it was celebrated with mixed reactions. Now, the president, when the NLC and the CSOs like us held the president to rise up to say, you can't do that without engaging stakeholders. What have you put in place to ameliorate the sufferings? He now promised that the refineries will start functioning. In fact, he gave us that particular 2023. He gave us October. He gave us August 1st. After August, deadline didn't work out. It was now moved to November. The same 2023. It was moved again to 2025, 2024, and up to today.
No, but we did see the
leave that 2 weeks. Leave that 2 weeks thing that we saw.
No,
that was mixed with reactions.
Mixed reactions, yes. But let us wait. Hold on, sir. Hold on, sir. I like us to put our listeners in that position where they make a sound choice. Now, NNPC in Port Harcourt especially did open and produced for well over a month.
Okay.
But here they were telling us that what they produced and the cost of production was not optimal. Now it's been shut down. Now, we have Dangote refinery and smaller refineries who are refining locally, but still have to buy the crude oil at that same price. Now, for us back home, we can see the problems, a myriad of problems. Why are we not looking at solutions? Why did we elect governments that are not looking at ways to ameliorate the situation?
You see, when I like to discuss, I discuss with wealth of experience and facts. My late dad was among the pioneer staff of NNPC. He was employed in 1976. 1964, not 64. Then his letter of retirement was signed by late President Muhammadu Buhari. Then he was Minister of Petroleum, 1984. So my brother is still working in NNPC Port Harcourt Refinery. So when I speak with facts and figures. That's why we don't join issues when the government said, hey, it's working. Because people who are working there, my relatives,
we all do,
are working there.
We all do.
And so just a phone call, bam, I get the detail of what is happening there. Now the president needed to divert attention from the backlash that he got for removing fuel subsidy by saying that the refinery was working. Why was Mele Kyari removed? After we had said that 2 persons need to go. When President Tinubu took over, we said 2 persons need to go. In fact, we even said 3 persons should go. The first one was the INEC national chairman. Second one was the CBN governor, Emefiele. Third one was Mele Kyari. And we gave reasons why these 3 persons should go. As CSOs, we did the press conference, we said these people should go. And we gave reasons. Now, the president had removed the 2 of them. Let me say so. Because one is on trial, the other one, by virtue of his time, like the INEC national chairman, his time expired, he left, fine. And then the other one was the NNPC, was the CBN governor, he's facing trial. The other one was the NNPC GMD. That one was removed. Now, Mele Kyari had never refined a liter of petrol. We have the crude oil. We export the crude oil to neighboring countries and then refine they import the refined product at expensive amount. Now, God now gave us a man like Aliko Dangote, who now said, I can build refinery that the government owned cannot work. I can come and build refinery and came and build. Mele Kyari attempted with his NNPC ESCO to thwart that effort of giving this man crude oil in Nigerian currency. You are buying your own product. You are trying to dollarize your economy by selling your crude to Nigerians in Nigerian territory with dollar. So it means that you can even buy crude oil if it is sold at a market with dollar. So we are still saying that why don't you nairalize your economy in terms of the crude oil and let it be that Dangote will get this crude oil in naira, not in dollar. So that naira can also begin to strong, not to be falling, not to be on a free fall, because even the country's commodity are sold in dollar. Now having said this, now back to the question that you asked. I was even saying that President compared the Nigerians and Kenya. that we should be lucky that Nigeria is still getting this, that Kenya get it at a higher rate. And we said you don't have to compare Nigeria with Kenya. Tomorrow you compare Nigeria with Chad and Niger, and next day you compare Nigeria with Cameroon and Burkina Faso. Whereas we have the crude oil in commercial quantity, like you have just said, we are 10 in the list of the world. And so if you have the excess, crude excess amount that has come in based on what was the benchmark, the money should have been plugged in. We even advise that the government should have used the excess money to give crude to Dangote in larger quantity. Dangote was supplying refined product to Kenya, to other countries. They now look up to Dangote to get the refined product. So he was now serving almost the African continent, whereas Nigeria was, lacking. Now, assuming that our refineries are functioning, they are functioning, with Dangote's refinery and the other smaller ones that you note that you are aware of are functioning, Nigeria will not even feel the impact, because here we are endowed with the large quantity of crude.
They will still buy at that international market price.
But
anyway.
if you are going to buy,
no, but they will still buy.
No, you see, now if
it can be sold, would it be sold to Dangote for less than what the international market price is?
That is what I'm saying. I'm saying that put that Nigerian refineries are functioning. 3 of them, 4 of them are functioning. Add with Dangote's own, add with the smaller ones are functioning, and they're getting this crude in naira, not in dollar.
They are getting in naira.
In naira, no.
Naira equivalent.
Equivalent, if you like. Now put it that they are now functioning, and we are getting this crude oil in naira in excess as they would need. The price of petrol and other refined product would have been dropped. We're even talking about petrol now. Have you know how much is Cameroon? How much is the kerosene a liter? How much
is sold for 2,000?
I mean, 2,000 naira. So
Jet
and this is
3,000 naira. The A1.
The other day I heard their aviation air. They were complaining that that they will soon be shutting down or something.
From 900 to 3,000.
3,000. So if you are traveling to Lagos, the price should go higher than even what you expect. The people who come down, who go and come in. So what are we saying here? We are saying that if the government had been proactive in utilizing that 1 week or 2 weeks or 1 month or 2 months war between the US, Israel against Iran, that the country would have been a workshop.
Now, hold on, Uchekong Franklin. When the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu announced that subsidy was gone, he also went on to say that the monies realized from subsidy would be reinvested into the different tiers of government. And we have seen if you can call it that, a skyrocketing rise in allocations coming to states and going to local government areas in the last, say, 2 years and some. But can we say, which is money from subsidy, now it's been given to the people through those who lead them at the local government level and at the state level? Would we say, taking the Akwa Ibom example, that we have felt the impact of these monies that we can see as evidently being returned to the people?
Well, my answer would be straight away, no. Now I will want to give this background.
What are the things that they should have put the monies in that would have gone straight to the people and ensured that we have some cushion for this sort of eventuality?
Okay, I was trying to say that Akwa Ibom State is a state that is very blessed, very lucky in having leaders who have dreams and visions in terms of governance, what can be done, what I think is the best for the state, what I think is the best for the people. We have those leaders, we have those people who have those dreams, but we are not blessed with leaders who dream and are able to interpret their dreams and put it into reality. I have said something which I believe if you listen to me, you understand what I'm saying. We are a blessed state of leaders who have dreams, leaders who have visions, but we are deprived of leaders who have dreams and are able to interpret these dreams into reality. Now, when Governor Umoino came on board, immediately President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declared that subsidy is gone. The NLC in Akwa Ibom State, TUC and CSOs and other stakeholders did a peaceful protest and barricaded the government house entrance to the to the government house. The governor came out, and this was within the governor's 100 days in office. He came out and addressed the people of Akwa Ibom State through that protest and promised to put up a palliative committee. Fortunately enough,
they put up the palliative committee, and you
I'm
belong to that committee. I was waiting for you.
That is why I'm saying, fortunately enough, I sitting down here happen to be appointed to represent the civil society groups in Akwa Ibom State, in that Akwa Ibom State Palliative Committee. And you have the NLC leaders, the TUC leaders, and other critical stakeholders in that palliative committee. And the mandate given to us was for us to tinker out the best way that the economy will work in the face of the subsidy removal that has imposed hardship in the state. If you ask me today, what have we achieved as a committee? The answer will be all what we recommended, which I'm not here to release to the public, have not been achieved. One of it, I can say this anywhere, was to cushion the effect of transportation in the state, to get buses, CNG buses, to plan.
There is a CNG park currently ongoing.
I don't mean the ongoing. I'm telling you that we had the short term, the